I thought inheriting 1,000 acres would solve my problems, not hand me a war. But when I arrived, the entire property was already occupied. Perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, smiling neighbors, and an HOA president telling me I was trespassing on my own land. They had no idea what they'd just awakened. I thought inheriting 1,000 acres would solve my problems, not hand me a war. 10 years in a gray cubicle. 10 years of fluorescent lights and performance reviews and bosses who said circle back like it meant something. When my grandfather passed and left me his ranch, I thought I'd finally escaped. 1,000 acres of open sky. Rolling hills. Wind that actually smelled like something real. I drove through the old county road expecting quiet. Instead, I found a stone entrance. Silver Meadow Estates. Underneath it, in polished brass. Managed by Silver Meadow Homeowners Association. I actually checked my GPS twice. This couldn't be right. But the gates opened automatically. And behind them? Perfectly lined sidewalks. Identical mailboxes. Designer street lamps. Right where my grandfather used to run cattle. And before I could even shut my truck door, I saw it. A bright orange violation notice taped to the barn. Violation, unauthorized commercial agricultural presence. Fine, $250 per day. Signed, Victoria Halston, HOA President. I laughed. I genuinely laughed. Because surely this was a mistake. That's when I heard the hum of a golf cart. She appeared like she'd been waiting for this moment. White blazer. Oversized sunglasses. Perfect posture. The kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. You must be the grandson, she said. We've been meaning to discuss your interference. Interference? This is my family's ranch. She tilted her head slightly. Silver Meadow operates under established community governance. Your grandfather agreed to development terms decades ago. No, I said slowly. He leased pasture access for a limited term. She smiled wider. The community owns this land now. Behind her, 2 men in neon compliance vests stood with clipboards like security detail. And that's when something felt wrong. Because my grandfather never donated anything. He negotiated everything. That night, I drove straight into town to see the one person who would know. Margaret Bellamy. My grandfather's attorney. 80 years old. Sharp enough to cut glass. When I told her what I'd seen, she didn't look surprised. She reached into a filing cabinet and pulled out a thick leather folder. Inside was a lease agreement dated 1925. 99 years. Land use lease only. Non-renewable unless signed by landowner. Expired 8 months ago. I blinked. What happens after expiration? I asked. Margaret folded her hands. The land reverts to the deed holder. That's me. That's you. Roads. Parks. Common areas. The ground under every manicured lawn. Mine. The homeowners own their houses, she continued. But not the dirt beneath them. And the HOA? Was notified 5 times via certified mail. 5. They never responded. I sat there in silence. They knew. Victoria knew. And she'd said nothing. I didn't tell her the next morning. Instead, I watched. Over the next week, I saw how Silver Meadow really operated. A retired veteran fined for installing a wheelchair ramp without aesthetic approval. A widow cited for unmowed grass while undergoing chemotherapy. A family fined $100 for a basketball hoop visible from the street. Every mailbox had a violation slot. Every neighbor kept their head down. And then the HOA landscapers showed up near the South Ridge. Chainsaws in hand. They were cutting down 3 oak trees. My grandfather planted those trees the year my mother died. View optimization, one worker said casually. I saw Victoria across the lawn, filming me on her phone. For documentation purposes, she said sweetly. Something inside me shifted. This wasn't governance. This was control. So I drew a line. I hired a licensed surveyor. We placed boundary stakes across every common green space. Bright red markers. Then I posted signs. Private property, lease expired. The reaction was immediate. Within 24 hours, 3 stakes were removed. Trail cameras caught it. HOA board members. At midnight. Digging them out. Then I received an anonymous envelope. Inside, printed emails. From Victoria. Delay disclosure regarding lease expiration. Residents don't need unnecessary panic. Continue collecting dues. There were also bank statements. Reserve funds transferred to a consulting firm. Owned by her cousin. That's when I stopped playing quiet. I mailed every homeowner a certified letter. Not from an HOA. From me. Mandatory public meeting at the old county hall. Subject, land ownership clarification. The room was packed. Confused faces. Nervous whispers. Victoria stood in the back, arms crossed, smiling like she already won. Margaret stepped forward first. She projected the lease agreement onto a large screen. Original signatures. County seal. Expiration date. 8 months ago. Murmurs spread through the room. Then she displayed the certified mail receipts sent to the HOA board. Signed. Received. Ignored. Victoria's smile flickered. Then came the emails. Blown up large enough for everyone to read. Continue collecting dues. Do not inform residents. A man in the front row stood up. You knew? Victoria straightened. This is being misrepresented. Margaret cut in calmly. The lease expired. The land beneath your properties belongs to Mr. Adler. Silence. Then panic. What does that mean for us? Someone shouted. It means, I said evenly, I'm not here to evict anyone. But the HOA has no legal authority over this land. Gasps. A woman near the aisle started crying. They fined me during chemo. Another voice, they charged my dad daily penalties for his ramp. And then something unexpected happened. The HOA treasurer stood up. He looked pale. I tried to say something months ago, he said quietly. Victoria told us to stall. He handed over a folder. Financial statements. Consulting payments. Board approvals signed retroactively. The room shifted. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was fraud. Within days, the county opened an investigation. Within weeks, the sheriff showed up at Victoria's front door. Fraud. Misrepresentation. Embezzlement. Silver Meadow HOA was suspended pending review. And something fascinating happened once the fear lifted. Neighbors started talking again. Without violation letters. Without clipboard patrols. They formed a voluntary council. No fines. No aesthetic enforcement. Just shared upkeep and transparency. We renegotiated land access fairly. Modest dues. Public financial records. Community votes on everything. The old oak stumps near the ridge? We planted new saplings. The veterans' ramp stayed. The basketball hoop stayed. The widow's lawn? Neighbors now mow it together. 6 months later, Silver Meadow looks different. Not less beautiful. Just more alive. Kids actually laugh in the streets now. One evening, while clearing out my grandfather's desk, I found a folded note.